Okay, today we're looking at writing linear equations. We're not going to get into this too deep today. In algebra, you're going to really get into this, but today we're just going to kind of touch on it. There's just going to be some basics we need to do. We're going to use the y equals mx plus b form to write our equations. And so if we're writing equations, the only two things, when we're using this form, the only two things we don't know here are the slope and the y-intercept. And if we know these two things, then we can write an equation. Y always stays Y, X always stays X. So there are two unknowns, and we have to find those two unknowns before we can write an equation. So let's look at a very basic, straightforward example. Write an equation of the line with a slope of 3 and a y-intercept of -7. Well, the slope always goes in the place of m, so y equals 3x. The y-intercept is -7, so it'd be -7. You could also write plus -7. That would be the same thing. Write an equation of the line with the slope of -2 and a y-intercept of 3. Again, put in the slope where m is, -2, and it's plus 3 for the y-intercept. Done. That's it. Do they get a little harder? Of course, they get a little harder, but not too much harder. Everything we're doing today, you should already know how to do. We're just putting it all together to write equations. Let's look at the next page. I went too far. Okay, write an equation of the line shown. So now we're going to write an equation, and we're going to find the slope and the y-intercept of these lines. So again, we need to know what m is. Let's look at the yellow line. We need to know what m and b is of the yellow line. Well, b is where it crosses the y-axis. Well, that's right here, right? What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's at 6. Y-intercept is 6. Okay, let's look at a slope. Well, look at another place where it crosses. It looks like it kind of crosses right here at these crosshairs of the graph. So let's go from here to here and find the slope. I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to say -3/5. Now that I've got that, I can write the equation. Y equals, let's try that over. I'm going sideways for some reason. Y equals -3/5 x plus 6. Okay. Okay, let us do this. The blue one. We need m and b of the blue line. Well, b is right here. That is going to be 5. Y-intercept is 5. Okay. Let's look at the slope. Okay, it looks like it kind of crosses right. Let's say here. Okay, generally the lines you do will have 2 points on them. You're not going to have to find them, but sometimes you have to find them. So we're going to look at the slope of these 2 points. We're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 2. That is 4 over 2, which is 2 over 1, which is just 2. So y equals 2x plus 5. Let's look at the last one. M is equal to and B is equal to. Well, B is going to be the easiest thing. It's right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. -4. The slope, it looks like we cross here. Okay, so I'm going to go up 1 over 3. Slope is 1/3. So y equals 1/3 x minus 4. Okay, so we've written the equation of a line with given the slope and the y-intercept. Here we've looked at lines on a graph and found the slope and y-intercept and then wrote the equation. Let's look at what we're doing next. We're going to use 2 points, okay, to write an equation. So the two things we need are the slope and the y-intercept, okay, for each of these. Well, let's find the slope. Remember the slope, x1, y1, x2, y2. Let's look at the first one. First one, I've got -4 minus 6 over 0 minus -2. That's going to be -10 over +2, which is -5. Okay, so for this one, the slope is -5. What's the y-intercept? Well, it's given to us right here. Where x is 0, that's where the y-intercept is. So the y-intercept is -4. Can we write an equation now? You bet we can. Y equals -5x minus 4. Okay, it's number 1. Look at number 2. Let's find the slope. We got to find this again, the slope and the y-intercept. Well, the y-intercept's pretty easy. Find where x is 0. That y value is the y-intercept. 2, let's find the slope. x1, y1, x2, y2. I've got 2 minus -5 over 0 minus -3. 7 over 3 is the slope. Okay, let's write the equation. Y equals 7/3 x plus 2. Okay, number 3. Again, I'm writing crooked. I know that. We're going to, let's do, the y-intercept is right here, which is 5. Let's find the slope, x1, y1, x2, y2. We're going to have 9 minus 5 over 7 minus 0. That's going to be 4 over 7. That's the slope. Okay, so y equals 4/7 x plus 5. Okay, so given 2 points, one of the points generally is the y-intercept. Okay, then you have to find the slope for the other part, and then you can write the equation. In algebra, they're not going to give you this y-intercept. You're going to have to find it. But today, we're not going to have to do that. We're not going to get any more complicated than this right here. Let's go to the next one. Writing equations of parallel or perpendicular lines. Write an equation of the lines that are parallel and perpendicular to the line y equals 4x minus 8 and passes through the point 0, 2. Well, we're going to write 2 equations, one that's parallel and one that's perpendicular. The first one is parallel, so it has the same slope. But the y-intercept is this. Okay? Now, the second one is perpendicular, so it doesn't have the same slope. It's the negative reciprocal. So you flip it and change the sign, but it still goes through that point, so that is the y-intercept for both of these. Let's do this one. Okay, a parallel line going through this point, well, this is the y-intercept right here. So y equals -5x minus 9. That's the parallel line. The perpendicular line, okay, that's perpendicular. Y equals, flip this and change the sign. So it's 1/5 x. Again, the y-intercept is the same, minus 9. Okay, this we should be familiar with. We should know how to do that. Okay, writing equations from tables. Okay, we've got 2 tables. We want to write equations. Again, we need to find the slope and the y-intercept. Well, the y-intercept is always where x is 0. So find where x is 0, the y value is the y-intercept. So here it's 6. Now finding the slope from a table is pretty easy. Look at the change in x. 0 to 2, that's 2. Every time you're going by 2's, right? Okay, let's look at y. I'm going by 4's, right? Okay, the slope is the change in y, 4, divided by the change in x, which is 2. So it's 4 over 2, which is 2 over 1, which is just 2. Again, it's y, change in y, divided by the change in x, so the slope is 2. So can we write an equation for this? You bet. Y equals 2x plus 6. Okay, let's look at the next one. The y's, looks like I'm going by 12's every time, right? The x's, I'm going by 3's every time. I don't have enough room to do that, but it's every time I'm going by 3's. Okay, so the slope is the change in y, 12, over the change in x, which is 3, and that's equal to 4. Y-intercept, find where x is 0, the y value is y-intercept. Well, the y-intercept is 0. Can we write an equation? Yes. Y equals 4x plus 0, but I don't write plus 0, it's just y equals 4x. Okay, when the y-intercept is 0, I don't have anything over here. Okay, so there's our 2 equations from tables. Okay, let's do a scatter plot and approximate a best spinning line. Okay, so 0, I've already got the graph set up, and notice this little thing here. When you skip a little bit, say you don't have any data until you get to a very large number, sometimes you'll see this. So they kind of skip the first 100 and start here. Okay, and that's okay right now. 0 and 110. So at 0, you get something at 110. Okay, that's that one. 1 and 117. I'm sorry, I did that wrong. That's 100. What am I thinking? 0 and 110 is right here. Okay, we're going by tens here. 1 And 117, well, that's somewhere between 110 and 120. It's somewhere about right here. Again, this is a scatter plot. I'm just plotting these points. 2, 125. Here's 2. Now I go to 125, which is about right here. Okay, 3 and 140, right there. Okay, 4 and 148. 148, about right here. Okay, 5 and 158. Well, here's 150, so 158 is about right here. 6 and 168. Huh. Okay, that's about right here. And then 7 and 177. It's going to be somewhere about right here, or a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to draw a line that best fits this. Notice they're not all in a perfect line. That's okay because this is just data. This is like statistics. But we're going to draw a line that kind of fits our data. Let's use this, okay? So, and this is, again, it's a little bit of a guess. Okay, so I'm just going to try to draw a line where I have, it's about in the center, if you know what I mean, where I've got more, as many, if I've got a dot over it, I've kind of got a dot under it. I kind of want to go through the center of all my dots, and that's close. So again, it's not an exact science when you're drawing a line of best fit. Now what we want to do is find the slope of this line that you drew. Well, we need to find 2 points on it to find a slope. So again, this is a bit of an estimation, and that's okay. Okay, let's look and see where the line hits. Well, it looks like we hit at about 106 maybe. So I've got a point at 0, 106, and then I've got a point, let's see where it may hit here. This is about 161. Well, let's look at 7. Where does it hit 7? It's about 176. So at 7, it hits at 176. Again, this is an estimation. So what I'm going to do is find the slope of this line. I've got 176 minus 106 over 7 minus 0. Well, 176 minus 106 is 70, right? Over 7. Well, 70 over 7 is just equal to 10. I've got a slope of about 10. Now again, this is an estimate. It's not exact. Well, the y-intercept, we said, is right here. Again, that's a little bit of an estimate. So we can write an equation for the line of best fit, our line of best fit, and the slope is 10x plus 106. Answers will vary. Everybody's line is going to be a little different. This is not exact. But when you draw a line of best fit, you need to be able to find the slope and the y-intercept line. Again, we had to kind of guess on a few points, so this is, again, it's not exact. It's just meant to kind of represent the line of best fit. Okay, and I think that pretty much concludes today's lesson.